Hey everybody, this is Danny again with another Tuesday Tech Talk. Today we're going to be checking out these little Behringer speakers. This is something it was a project I did quite some time ago. We're going to set these up and listen to them. And what we're listening for and what we're listening to is we got two different networks inside this speaker. And one is the original factory network and the other is the same network, same values, replicated but with higher quality parts using some air core inductors and some sonic caps and a Mills resistor. And what we've got on the back here is we've got the factory binding post, and we can flick these three switches up and we can run off of the factory crossover with no interference from the other crossover. Then we can quickly move the speaker cables to the tube connectors, flick all three switches down, and we're running on the upgraded crossover. So we just got through taking measurements. We just measured both speakers with both networks. They measured extremely close. One had looked like maybe over time had drifted a little, but not much still. Pretty close tolerances across the board. Definitely nothing there that you could point to and say one measures differently than the other. They measure pretty spot on. So next we're going to go set these things up. Ron's going to set up his fancy microphones, and we're going to do some sound clips and see if you guys can hear the difference with the recordings. The difference in the two networks is the stock network is an iron core inductor. It uses mylar caps and it uses a sandcast resistor because those are inexpensive to manufacture and to purchase. The crossover that we put in there, that's complete replica, it's exactly the same values, uses sonic caps, a Mills resistor, and the ERSI air core inductor. Simple as that. We're using a little higher quality wiring, and it has tube connectors on the back versus binding posts. So you're getting to hear what we would normally do in an upgrade across the board. And again, these things measured exactly the same. There's no difference in the measurements, but they sound very different, as we've already noticed playing with them, that there's clear differences in the sound, and hopefully that'll come out in the video or the audio clips.
Yep.
All right, well, this is kind of a different Tuesday Tech Talk.
It is, and we had some fun with it, that was for sure.
Yeah.
We hooked up the two speakers in there and put the mics on them and
Yeah.
recorded the 3 tracks.
Yep.
Switching between each one.
Yep.
And of course, it was obvious sitting in the room that there was clearly a difference. So hopefully this may squelch a lot of the naysayers out there that don't believe that
Modifications.
will make a difference. Clearly, a lot of those upgrades make a considerable difference. And in the case of the Behringer, we could hear that difference pretty easily. I mean, and in one case on one song, we all noticed within 2 seconds. You could just immediately notice a difference. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear the same thing in the sound bites that we did.
Yeah.
You go ahead first this time. You order first.
Yeah, so for me, I was manning the recorder and I had the headphones on monitoring, so it's kind of weird. I'm hearing what's happening in room, but also I'm monitoring. So it's a little bit weird for me. And so for me, I, like you guys, are relying on the sound clips. So these guys were listening to the speakers in room, paying attention, and they could hear a clear difference. But even me off axis, when I moved the headphones off, it was very obvious to me. And it was very obvious in room. And then we just sat at the round table here and listened to these clips through the headphones. And I still think, even though it's not as obvious as in the room,
True.
it is still, there's this, I think, a substantial difference here.
Oh, yeah. There's a level of openness and spaciousness when you go to the higher quality parts that you immediately hear in the room.
Yeah.
You could hear the difference in the resolution and things in the headphones, and some of that, I think even still, you could hear some of the space around everything even through the headphones.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
More so, though, in person. More so live, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the parts that really impacted me the most were anything that's going like delicate chimes. There's a song with chimes, and to me, when I first heard that with the unupgraded parts, I thought, okay, I listened to that. Okay, that's good. And then when we switched over to the improved parts, it was like that was an added level of chimes. It felt more real to me. Her voice in one of the songs just feels richer. Like there's an extra dB or two lower in depth that she's digging in some of those tracks. And I listened to it over and over and over on the laptop, and I think what's missing is the soundstage and the layering that we heard.
Yeah.
But I think it's still going to be obvious if people have a good system. You cannot listen to this through Logitech desktop speakers. You can't listen to this through your iPhone speakers. You have to have probably headphones, and you have to take the time to actually listen to it, and you'll be able to kind of get those key nuances and differences.
Sure. But unquestionably, clear differences in quality of parts.
Yeah.
So for any of you guys out there that are on the fence, thinking about upgrading your speakers, there's plenty of avenues to do that. If you want help doing that, I can do that. That's one of the things that we do here at GR Research. And sometimes it's quite easy, sometimes it's a little more complex, but sometimes it's fun and sometimes it's work. But clearly, though, there are those avenues for those of you who want to go down that path.
Let me ask you something, Danny. When you had these speakers, you shipped them around to a bunch of different people that listened to them, and that was a while ago, but what was the response of everybody that got their hands?
The differences were anybody who had a very decent system at all, even a mid-fi level system, all reported here and immediately, there's clear differences. There was one guy, I think, who had just a home theater receiver, who was basically listening to the radio through it, and a cheap CD player, and he says he didn't notice a lot of difference, if any. And of course, he's using zip cord for speaker cable, and there was just nothing there to allow him to hear that differences in the resolution. So if you just hook them up to your computer with your sound card and run something through it, you're wasting your money trying to upgrade something that's your system isn't gonna allow that to shine. But any type of a high-end system, you can hear it easily.
Yeah.
So when I sent them around, it was like 99%. That one guy who didn't want to make a stand with the budget system, he was kind of the only guy that said, and I can understand some guys whose belief is that it can't possibly make a difference, and on their systems maybe it won't.
Yeah.
But clearly, though, on a system it's at the level of what we're listening to in there.
Super obvious.
Really obvious. Yeah, really obvious.
That was crazy. Super obvious. Yeah. Cool. Another Tuesday Tech Talks in the book.
Tech Talks. Thanks, everybody.
What's in store for us next week? You can tell us.
I don't know.
We're gonna find out.
I don't know. I have to figure it out.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, guys.
See you, everybody.
See ya.